Cameo. I've done one tutorial using Microsoft Word, and now we'll use the Cameo. I actually like the Sihouette Studio just a little bit better. There's some steps that need to be taken, but all in all, it's really simple and easy to do. So today we're going to make this card front, this little word art for our card. Let's get started. The first thing you'll do, of course, is open up your Sihouette Studio. I'm using the Designer Edition, but either one will work. You can use the Designer Edition or the one that came with your Silhouette or your Cameo. So we want to open up our file and bring out the clip art that we're going to use. We can do this by going to File and Open, or we can click on this Open folder, and that's kind of where I keep all of the files that I'm going to work with. Today's file that we're going to be using is from This and That. It's a digital kit that I was able to purchase and download from My Memories, and it's a really fun full kit, and I will have the link for that on my blog. So when you open it up, and I've got it filed under Word Art, it looks like there's nothing here, and that's because the default setting for this is Sihouette Studio files, and this of course is not a Sihouette Studio file. It's a PNG. So we're going to hit the drop down menu, and you can of course hit all files and then everything will show up, but because I know it's a PNG, I'm just going to open just the PNG files, and there's a list of the ones that I have. The one that we're going to use today is Enjoy Life Brown. I'm going to highlight it, click OK, and there it is. Isn't that cute? The reason that I like to work with PNGs is as you look at this, there's a lot of, let me zoom in, there's a lot of detail on here, so you can see the polka dot ribbon, the shadows. There's just a lot of detail, but it doesn't add any bulk to your card. So it's a great way to make a card that you can send in the mail without a lot of bulk, and the mailman's not going to get angry with you. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to click Fit to Window, and now that we've opened up our file, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to come over here to Letters. It's under your page setting, and we're going to switch to letter size. I have a 8.5 by 11-inch printer, so that's why I need to switch it. If you have a 12 by 12 and you want to use that, great, go ahead. But for me, I'm going to choose the letter right over here. Now we need to resize our word art so that it will fit our card. It's a little big right now. You could go ahead and use that size, but for me it's just a little bit too big. So I'm going to come to the scale window and click on it. And because I want this kept in proportion, I'm going to hit the lock aspect ratio. Now if I wanted to, I could just grab the corner and I could drag it. You can make it long and skinny. You can make it short and fat. We'll go back to where it was. Control Z always undoes what you've just done. But anyway, so I want this a specific size, but I don't want to lose any of the proportion. So we're going to click on Lock Aspect Ratio, and we're going to make this a width of 4.25 and click Apply. And there you go. That is the perfect size that we need for our card. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the background that this card sets on. So we're going to come over here to our rounded rectangle and just click on it. And then we're going to just click and drag and make a rounded rectangle. And we'll fix the size so it doesn't really matter right now what you want or what size you make it. So if I click on it, I get these two little red dots. And what those red dots do is they determine how much of a curve we want on our box. Now I want just a little bit more, so I'm going to just kind of pull it and make it a little more curved, and go ahead and click on it, and it does that to all the corners and gives it that roundness that we want. Okay, so for our size, I'm going to click on it again, highlight it, there we go. We're going to come back over here to Scale. If you lost it, it's this button right here in the middle, and we are going to scale this without hitting the lock aspect ratio, because this time we want to size both the width and the height. So I'm going to do this at 4 3/4, which is 4.75 of the width, and the height will be 2.75 or 2 3/4. Go ahead and click Apply. And now we have a rounded rectangle box for our tag. If you want to just double check the size, you can pull it down there. You want some room to play with, so that looks like it's going to be just about perfect. So we're going to highlight this again by clicking on it, and then we're going to come up here to our offset button, and this is where the fun begins. So go ahead, click the offset button, and we're going to do an internal offset. So go ahead and click internal offset, and then we're going to come down here to the distance. And what we're doing is we're making this second line. So what we want to do is we're going to do 0.15. And you can mess around with this and decide what setting you want. But for me, 1.5 is really good. Hit apply, and then you'll see that you have the internal border also. Now we don't want to click off of that yet. We want to stay right on that. It's highlighted on the inside. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the line style. So up here you've got all these little lines listed. That's actually your line style. We're going to go ahead and click on that and come over to line thickness and decide what thickness we want. I'm going to go with 3.0, and I know that just because I've been playing around with it and messing around with it, and I know that that's what I want. You can go ahead and use the slider button here to determine or change it however you want. Go ahead and click off of it, and now this dark red line is my thicker line. I'm going to next come up here to our fill color, or our line color, and hit that, and I want to change the color of my line. One of the things that I love about the Sihouette Studio is the fill option, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But we can go in here and change this line to be any color that we want. We can choose any of these here, or we can use this pickup tool and come over to our artwork and find another color that we want. So I'm just going to come over here, and I'm going to pick up that dark brown, and so there it is. I'm going to highlight this again, hit that dark brown, and there is our line. Now we're going to fill the middle of this, and we're going to fill it with white, and you'll see why in a minute, but we're going to come up here to our fill color. It's not the line color, it's the fill color, and we're going to just fill it with white. Now when I do that, it doesn't look like a whole lot happened other than we've lost some of the thickness of the line. And that's because we're working now with white on white. So what we'll do is, so that that line shows up a little bit more, is we're going to come back over here and we're going to adjust our line thickness. And I just use the slider button and kind of slide it until it gets to the size that I want. And I don't want it super thick, so I'm going to say right there looks good. Go ahead and click off of it. Looks great. Now that part of the box is finished, so we're going to just grab it and slide it off. And if you slide it over to your background here, you'll see that it's white, where this one, if I slide it off, is still clear. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to fill this box. So come back up here to our fill and click on it. It's the glass that looks like it's pouring some water. And I'm going to fill it with this color, this lighter tan. So we're going to use the pickup tool again. We're going to come over here. We're going to pick up that lighter tan color, and there is our box. Now the reason that we filled this box with white is because if we had left it clear, when we dragged it back over to this box, it would show through and it would just simply look like a brown box. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this box again and highlight it. Just click on it, and we're going to come up here to our cut feature. It's the little scissors, and this box we just want as a print out. We don't want it to cut it, so I'm going to come up here and hit no cut. Now at this point it looks like you've done something really wrong, because you've got a lighter color screen, and the only thing that's really showing up is this red line. This red line is the line that we're going to use to cut, and this line we are not going to cut. But as soon as you switch back to screens, it all shows up the way that it's supposed to. So play around with that a little bit. We're going to drag this box over here. We're going to drag our word art. Now watch what happens. When I start to drag it, it's going to disappear. The reason is because Studio works in layers, and since this was the first layer that we opened, it's actually on the bottom. So when we pull it down, it's hiding like we're putting a piece of paper underneath that. So to fix that, we come down here and we just simply click on this button, bring to front. It doesn't look like anything happened, but when we slide it down, it's now on the top. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to highlight all three of those, and then we're going to group it so that it's one layer. And there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can come down here and you can hit this button right here, but the hotkey for it is just Control G. Now we have one layer and it's all ready to be cut. See, it'll move around like this, and so it's just one layer. Another thing that we could do, and in fact I think I probably will, is we're going to go ahead and highlight it. I'm going to click Ungroup, which is Control U, or once again you could come down here and highlight one of these. I want to align this. If you'll kind of notice, it's not all centered, so I'm going to highlight all three of them by just dragging a rectangle around them. We have three lines, 1, 2, 3. That means we have the word art, the middle layer, and the back layer. And we're going to come up here to our Align tool. It says Open the Align window. While all three of those are highlighted, we're just going to hit Center. And that just kind of moves everything right where it needs to be. You can zoom in on it and double check and make sure that that's where you want it to be. Now I'm thinking that my joy, even though it's been centered, looks like it's not quite there. And the reason that that is because this is a layer, but they don't measure from here to here. If I click on it, you'll see that there's a text box around it. And so it measures from the top of the text box to the bottom of the text box. And sometimes the word art isn't directly in the center. So in order to fix that, I'm just going to take my arrow button and just inch it up just a smidgen or two. So that was 2 clicks, and it puts it all right there together. Now that is lined up the way that I want it. I'm going to highlight all three of them again, Control G to group it, and there you go. It's a perfect little word art ready to be cut. So now to cut it, what we have to do is you're going to come over here and see these three, they look like corners or picture frames. That is your registration marks. So we're going to go ahead and click on our registration marks, and then we're going to click right here where it says Show Registration Marks. What that does is when you print it, it will print 3 little squares in these corners. And when you run that through your Cameo or your Silhouette, the eye will look for those 3 squares, and then it will know where to cut. These hash lines actually don't show up on the printing. They're just used for the computer. And this red line is your border. So anything that you have, you want inside the red line, and you don't want it to overlap these hash marks. So we can scoot this up a little bit, and then we've got all of this space right here, but when you print it, you're going to have a big rectangle or square right here, so you might not want to use it. So to save paper, you can go ahead and change your margins on here a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the bottom, and I'm just going to scroll up here. You can keep going over here and bring that margin up. Now you still want your word art right in here, not on the hash marks or the grid marks, and you'll notice that there's some right here. These will not show up when you print, but your squares 1, 2, 3 will be right there. Now another option that you have is go ahead and hit Restore Default. Is if you wanted to do a couple of cards, you can go ahead and highlight that and hit Control